Lesson 7, this is market segmentation. We're going to look more into the methods of market segmentation, and this is all part of the promotional mix. So where we're going with this lesson is to actually understand why the market is segmented, why the market is divided up, and how it's actually divided. There are obviously going to be benefits and drawbacks to doing it, and at the moment, probably in school, I'm not surprised if most of you feel a little bit awkward to go through the stereotyping, but this is what the industry does, this is what goes on, this is how businesses try to match and understand customer needs with products and services that they offer. So that's by the end of the lesson we're going to start looking into how it's used. Well, if that didn't fry your brain, this might fry your brain. We're going to actually look at some of the methods of market segmentation. So we've got the little circle or half a circle around segmenting the market, and the methods we're looking at are geographic, psychographic, that's how you think, and behavioural. We've covered demographic in the last lesson when we were introduced into the topic, and it's very difficult to separate the next three, which is why there is a little bit of a chunk of all of them together. So we'll try and take it slowly, and taking it slowly is why there's a few more slides on this lesson, but this is an area for you to understand quite in quite a bit of detail, and there's a little bit of a reason why it goes into detail right at the end of the lesson. In case you're not clear, Stuart's role in these lessons is to clarify things for you. And right now he's going to clarify what tasks are coming up your way so you know what tasks you've got to complete. So the first one is going to start off nice and easy. You're going to match the explanation to the benefit of the market segmentation. So it's a drag and drop. Second one, match and justify the product to the demographic profile. So that's touching base with last lesson. Then it's match and justify, same thing, but now using the different segmentation methods. So hopefully the idea of that is you understand what you're doing. We're just going to introduce some new definitions into it. Then task number 4, create a psychographic profile of customers. That's how they think and their lifestyles, but we'll go into that in the lesson, on 5 lifestyle choices. And then we've got some actual examples for Rivka and Terry, behavioural product choices. Based on what they do and how they behave, what do they choose and what makes them a loyal customer, and that's what we want you to look at. Right, a recap from last lesson. Market segmentation splits up a market into different types, segments. Think of the market as an orange, and when you divide up the orange, you get orange segments. It's about how you divide the market. So, market segmentation splits up a market into different types to enable a business to better target its products to the relevant customers. After all, not everybody in school is interested in Peppa Pig toys, are they? So there's a certain group of customers who will be, and that's what it's best to do. Why do businesses need to segment their markets? Because customers differ in the benefits they want, the amount they're willing to or able to pay, what media, that's television, newspapers, magazines, and now social media and online stuff, they use, how much they're going to buy, the quantities they're going to buy, and the time and place that they buy. So all these things have to be analysed and create the profile of the customer and which customer goes into which segment. All that may sound complicated, but believe it or not, what's even more complicated when you actually realise they can group people like this as well. So it's not all about one segment equals one person. One segment equals a group of customers who behave and have the same way and have similar choices. So here's your first task. Your job is to match the explanation, which is the lozenges, the rectangles, for want of a better word, on the right, and you need to move them to match the headings, the benefit, in the coloured column on the left. So, as you can see by a bit of magic, the first one is being done for you to show you what you need to do. So your job now is to do the rest, drag and drop the rest of them to actually make sure that the benefit, the sentence in the white right rectangle, matches up with the benefit in the coloured column on the left. Whilst I'm not going to give you the answers, because that would mean you just sit there and watch and wait for the answers to be in front of you, I still want you to work them out. The bit at the bottom is actually a little link you can click on, and it'll help you work out what's what, because that's where the information has come from. And I've divided it up to get you to engage with the words and pay attention to the words, and it's about you doing that check-in. So why not, first of all, let me suggest, match up the rectangles and then use what Dave says at the bottom to go check your answers. Here it is up front in a nutshell. These are the 4 methods that we're going to go through, 4 methods of market segmentation, and you'll get used to them because I'm using the little icons as reminders. So you've got psychographic segmenting the market, which is about how you think and the decisions you make from those choices. You've got demographic segmenting the market, which is what we did in the previous lesson, which is about, if you remember, age, social class, income, occupation. We've got behavioural segmenting the market. Depending on how you feel, you might choose when to eat chocolate, things like that. That's behavioural segmenting the market. And then the last one, geographic segmenting the market. That literally is about where you live. Where you live actually can influence how you go and choose your products and services. In case you forgot, here's Kevin showing you what the demographic profiling was all about again. So just having another quick recap but a bit more detail. Right, here's a check-in with Dave 1 at the top. So like it or not, agree with it or not, this is what happens with businesses to ensure that they match their product to specific customers' needs and wants. That's the reason why it goes on. Last lesson we looked into the demographic method to segment the market. Before we develop your knowledge with the final 3 methods, let's deepen your knowledge on these as our first step. So looking at the table on the left, you've got all the demographic factors. You've got age, where it was infants, teenagers, young adults and so forth, and then an example is clothes are typically targeted at different age groups. Gender, then we're looking at things like toiletries are segmented definitely by gender. Income, people with higher incomes, remember, more disposable income, that word where they've got more money to spend, would go for more luxury goods, so that's another segment. Social group, now this is the socio-economic group based on income and types of job, the occupation, they go hand in hand. So that's another segment again, and there's an example for you in terms of managers, teachers and nurses are one group. Ethnicity, many different ethnic groups would mean that there's a segment about taking into account cultural preferences, much like religion. And the last one, the family size. Family size is things like where you want to buy in bulk, and family size, and a good example of that is to think of retail products. So here's Carl there to introduce your next task. So on the next slide, you're going to practice what this all means. We're going to look at the demographic segmentation a bit more as another revision. You're going to decide which profile of customers, and they've been profiled by a demographic, which profile of customers buys which products. So go to the next slide to find out more. Here's your task. Your job is to look at the profiles of the customers on the left-hand side of the table, and there are 8 of them. And your job is to match the product, which is on the right, and justify your decisions. So I'll show you how it's going to work. I personally think a Dyson is going to be bought by higher managerial and professional occupations, so I'm going to move that image into that space there. And in the justification, I'm going to talk about things like, I know the price of them, they're around about £300–400, that particular one is, and my justification is that they're considered a luxury product because of how expensive they are. And for those people who want one, they're also homeowners, because if you're in a higher managerial and professional occupation, you got a house, so you need to hoover, different brand, you need to vacuum your carpet, so you're going to want something to do the job, and you can actually afford to purchase a Dyson vacuum cleaner, because those decisions are that they believe that is a brand that delivers higher quality. Your job is to now move the rest of the products into who you think is going to buy them and move them into the middle column, and then write your justification on the right hand column. As you can see, I'd actually say there's probably not a wrong answer, but just be careful on that last bit, because we also got to look at things like income. So I don't think number 8, never worked or long-term unemployed, is going to buy the flash car. We've also got to be realistic. So that's your job for this task. Here's your next task. Now here we're looking at the market as a whole. This is probably one of the nicest diagrams, I think, to explain the market. We've got all those segments of the market, and you're going to be focusing on customer 1, the teacher earning £40,000, middle-aged with 1 child and a partner, and that's that person there. And you're going to look at that customer there, who's customer 2, who's the surgeon earning £150,000, approaching retirement with 3 children and a partner. Carl says you've got to think about, for these 2 customers, what type of house they'll have, where they shop for clothes, what type or brand of casual clothes they will buy, where they will go on holiday, and anything else you can tell Carl about this particular person. So there's a few things to get your creative juices flowing on that one. Here you go. Here's the table for Carl, and you need to complete the profile for both of these customers. Customer 1, the teacher. The teacher earning £40,000, middle-aged with 1 child and a partner. On that middle column of customer 1, I'd like you to come up with the decisions for each of those questions, and as long as they're sensible and realistic, then you can't actually go wrong. So off you go and have a try and make it relevant to who that customer is. Same thing now for customer 2, that's the surgeon earning £150,000, who's approaching retirement and has 3 children and a partner. You need to go down that final right hand column and choose the house, the shops and so forth, where you think it's a realistic decision that that particular person is going to make. Kevin says, did you notice anything about the colour code on the table? Well, here's Dave with the answers. The green one, the segmentation method that you've just completed, is actually a demographic. It's a demographic method of segmenting, and you've just been practicing it. The blue one, this segmentation method is based on where a customer lives, what type of house, city, country, populated area or an isolated area. This is the geographic method of segmentation. The last 3 parts of the table, these are all questions that aren't based on any of the other 2 methods. They're actually the new ones, psychographic and behavioural. They're psychographic because they depend on personal attitudes, lifestyle, personality characteristics, but that does actually come up and it links to social class, but that's a bit later. And the behavioural is how customers spend and use products, their loyalty status, whether they keep using the same company or supermarket or shop, and the benefits they seek from the brand. So let's go over that key learning point, because there's quite a bit we've gone through, but you've actually gone through it by doing it, which is the best way to learn this segmentation lesson. So on your key learning point, you completed demographic, segmentation or customer profiling for the table on slide 8, and you've completed the table on slide 10 using the psychographic and behavioural methods without realising, as well as the geographic customer profiling. The key learning point is this: whether you segment the market by lifestyle, by behaviour, by where people live, at each decision you make, you will go hand in hand with demographic segmentation. So let's finish with Dave on this slide. You have completed the demographic profile, which is the left-hand table, And then you also looked into the other methods of segmentation, which is psychographic, behavioural, and geographic, which is the right-hand table. So well done, that's impressive. Here's Kevin to go over it one more time about geographic segmentation. Geographic segmentation is about across a town or a city that may simply involve how far away customers live from the business. For example, a local fish and chip shop will target people living close by because they can provide a more convenient service as customers are likely to travel to the nearest place because they want to get home and have it while the chips are hot. Different customer types are likely to have different needs, wider than convenience though, depending on where they live. For example, people living in hot climates will have different needs from people living in countries such as the UK. There may be greater demand for convertible cars in warmer climates, but greater demand for 4x4 vehicles in countries with rocky terrain. Countries have different cuisines, so type of food will vary from place to place. So these three examples will hopefully demonstrate what geographic segmentation really is about. It is about convenience, but it's also about these elements as well. Here's your next task. This one is focusing on psychographic, hence the icon that we've got there. Your job is to look at the descriptions on the left-hand side in the coloured rectangles, the colour-coded rectangles, and your job is to describe who the customer you think is. Now you can describe them however you want, you can use the previous information, so you do that first bit, but afterwards, and please do this afterwards, your job is then to look at what actual method did you use. So you're going to do it free for all, choose what you want. And then afterwards you can then drag the icon into the right hand column. Dave's been nice and come up with an example for you. So if you look at the first green square, I've written a profile in there to actually what I think that might be based on the left hand box, and I think that they're going to be that particular type of person. If you have a look, we go female, age 30, young children, probably a teacher, but around 35,000 a year for earnings, and they've had their car for a while and they go on camping holidays. That's who I think it is. Now as for the right hand column, I've definitely used demographics. I've definitely used psychographics because I'm talking about their choices, their lifestyle choices about where they go on holiday. I haven't used behavioural because I haven't really commented about the recycling and being environmentally conscious customer, so that's something I didn't use, which maybe I should have. And I definitely didn't use geographic segmentation because I've not been given any information on that one. So in actual fact, these last two icons should disappear because I didn't use them. That leaves me with the two methods that I did use. Your turn now. Let's now go through the left-hand columns. The first green one, some brands that include recycled goods, fair trade goods and sustainably sourced ingredients may be aimed at environmentally conscious customers. So who are these? What's your description of them? In the pink box, sports equipment clothing may be aimed at those interested in extreme sports such as snowboarding or mountain climbing. So who are they? What's your description of them? Put it in the pink box in the middle. In the yellow box, a bit like being a game show host, this is, oh good God. Anyway, in the yellow box, some newspapers may be targeted towards Labour voters, while others may be targeted at Conservative voters. Now this one is actually talking about information that is available about where people tend to politically vote. Now I'll give you a clue on this one. That's a lot down to their geographic position. Lots of traditional voters are for Labour tend to be in the north, and traditional Conservative voters have tended to be in the south of the country, although this last election in December 2019 did buck that trend. Who are these customers then? What description are you going to write for these? So certain brands create an exclusive appeal to these customers who care about their status. This might include a high price tag or a membership where customers have to go through an application process before being granted access, for example like a club or an event such as a music festival or even a show. And the last one in the orange box. Chocolate manufacturers have segmented the market based on the reason people eat chocolate. For example, some people eat chocolate to de-stress, there's a clue there, how they feel, while others eat it as a snack during the day. So there's a bit of a clue on which method you might use for chocolate. Here's Kevin to talk a little bit more about the definition and the examples of behavioural segmentation. Segmentation, according to behaviour, attempts to segment markets based on how people relate to a product. As in the table below, which we're going to have a look at, behavioural segmentation may include usage rates, which is where customers are categorised by how often they purchase a product, loyalty, the level of loyalty customers show to a brand, and the desired benefit. Most products have a range of features that provide customers with several benefits or solve a range of needs. This is about what the customer believes they're going to benefit from the product. So here's David a little bit more on those examples. On that usage rate, many airlines and hotel chains set up special membership clubs for customers who have a high frequency of purchase. These customers may receive special deals and have the opportunity to collect rewards, things like air miles. In terms of loyalty, some customers are very loyal because they seek familiarity and consistency, and the brand meets those needs. Where this is a case, a business will aim to build close relationships with regular communication. Other customers have no loyalties to any brands and will choose a product in the moment. How enterprises target these customers will be very different from their interactions with the regular customers. And the last one, desired benefits. Some customers may purchase a smartphone in order to connect with people through social media. Other customers may purchase the same smartphone and use it primarily as a phone. So there you go, you've got two different features and needs from the phone. A manufacturer of smartphones may target these two types of customers very differently, and they target them through different types of promotional activity. This is your final task. This is all about behavioural segmentation. So we're going to have a look at two customers and we're going to make some decisions based on the two customer profiles. Profile 1. Rivka likes spending time with her family. Her children are her priority. She cares deeply about their education and is extremely hands-on in how they're brought up. When Rivka is not with her family, she enjoys relaxing with peaceful music or a good book. Profile 2. Terry enjoys the outdoors and loves nature. He is a member of a running club, a cycling club, and a local conservation society. Terry is not interested in possessions and considers his best friends to be his two dogs, Brooke and Sandy. Right, Carl's given you your last two questions. What products or services would interest them? So that's question 1, and your job is to fill in the answer for Rivka in the blue box for number 1 and for Terry in the green box for number 1. Second question, what promotional mix, those are the 5 elements of promotions, so that is advertising, sales promotion, personal selling, direct marketing and public relations, or a mix of them. What promotional mix would an enterprise use in order for Rivka and Terry to become loyal customers? So you need to actually now go back over the previous lessons or think back over what we've done, and you're going to choose which of those promotional methods, which of those 5 methods, or a combination is more likely, which combination would actually get Rivka to become that loyal customer, and Terry, who's a very different customer, which combination of those promotional methods would suit Terry to help him become a loyal customer? You're probably looking as relieved as Stuart there to get to the end of this lesson, but this lesson has actually been a bit of detail because of the methods of segmentation we need to go through. Now this topic is part of the exam, so you do need to get your head around this, and there definitely will be questions on segmentation. It's one of the exam board's favourite. So your 5 tasks were matching the benefit to the explanation, and the second task was to match and justify the demographic profile, then match and justify the products using all 4 segmentation methods. Then you were looking at, for your 4th task, creating a psychographic profile of customers for 5 different lifestyles. And then the final one, which is Rivka and Terry, you're looking at their product choices, and then you looked at, from your prior learning, which promotional mix would help them become loyal customers. Well done! Yay! You've done all the work. Well, here it is. This is that extra bit of information I've put into this lesson, and the reason why market segmentation is so detailed. It's actually a very well paid job in marketing, considering the skills and the IT skills that you need, because it's very analysing the databases, analysing lots of responses to surveys and spotting trends. Then it takes quite a bit of skill, and it takes a lot of experience in the end for being able to do that job. Now here's just a sample of those jobs, just to show where you've got a starting position and where you've got some senior people and the types of salaries that they have, and they are in around about the middle experiences, anything between £50,000 and £70,000 per year. Well done, you made it. That's the end of the lesson. Well done for completing this week's. Yes, it's quite a bit of detail, but what we'll do is the assessment quiz will be based on this lesson. I won't squeeze in any questions on promotion, I hope, and well done.